Hey guys, it's Dan, Weathspoons from certain forums, and due to an unfortunate loser changes his name call-out match, my name is also now Clementine Lep until the beginning of the first badge series. Dan, I hate you. Anyway, moving on. Episode 2, now with more styling hat. Another, more of a review than an unboxing of a Doomtown Reloaded Saddlebag. This time it's double dealing. The second pack, which I appreciate came out a good few weeks ago, and I've been lazy and I haven't made a video. So this one, rather than an unboxing, I've played some games with the cards, had a few goes with them, built a few different decks, and another entirely unscripted stream of consciousness as I go through the cards and tell you what I think. So, moving on. Cards. Right then, so, cards. Starting with the Law Dogs. Mortimer Parsons is a Mad Scientist 0 for the Law Dogs. It's a brilliant idea of this spreading keywords. I mentioned it in the last video. I love this. This is brilliant. Everybody will eventually be able to play gadgets. Everybody will eventually be able to play hexes. It's a fantastic, really nice idea for everybody who has a favourite faction, who wants to try something else in a different playstyle. I can't wait to see the 4th ring Mad Scientist. Whatever they come up with for that, it's going to be brilliantly thought out, hopefully story-wise. So onto this card. Mortimer is a fantastically solid addition to the Law Dogs faction. He's 2 stud, 2 influence for 5 cash and 1 upkeep. There is nothing wrong with those numbers. Everything about those numbers is amazing. There's no reason why he wouldn't go into as many Law Dogs decks as can fit him. He's a fantastic start option for his cost, and he has a really interesting ability. If you cheat odd with a Law Dogs deck, traditionally going for normal hands, if you reveal an illegal draw hand, he goes home booted. Yes, his influence gets reduced, so he's not going to help you stay in the game if it's going to be a close run thing. However, he does get him out of a shootout. If nobody's there, the shootout ends. So there's definitely some options here. You go into a posse, all goes horribly wrong. You can make a smart choice. One of your guys away, draw, try and get a cheat. He's a stud, so you can engineer your hand some, get your guy out, and net result being nothing happens in the shootout, which is a really, really, really nice thing. Gang Yi is the second of the 2 Law Dogs. He's deputy. More use of the deputy keyword there, which is always good. He's, again, a solid card. 2 influence. He's a little bit more expensive than Mortimer. He's got 1 less bullet, so he's only a 1 stud. High value card, which is nice. His ability is actually quite fantastic. You can swap him with anybody else in a posse that is opposing a wanted dude. Law Dogs having fantastic ways and means of making you wanted. It lets you have quite a lot of versatile use out of Gang Yi. It doesn't boot him, he can be used while booted, and it literally gets him in and somebody out. So if he gets paralysis marked or booted out early, you can go start a fight with Travis. Travis comes out, Gang Yi goes in, you've now got a stud in the place, and it's all pretty good from there. I don't think he's going to see a lot of play right now. I don't think we have as many ways of making people wanted as we'd like as Law Dogs. Yes, the home ability is good. Hustings, which we'll come to later, kind of cripples Law Dogs and Morgan home cards. And we'll see why when we see the card. But once we get to the stage where we have lots of ways of making you wanted beyond just a couple of card effects, I think Gang Yi is going to be very, very good. Get him a gun to up his bullets. If we can get 3 stud on there, I think he's going to be a fearsome opponent indeed. Morgan Cattle Company coming up next. We have Tallulah Morgan, or Lula Morgan there. If you read the fiction from the first Saddlebag, you recognise Lula, stepdaughter of Lillian Morgan. She's a brilliant card. 3 influence, 4 cash. She's a bit expensive to keep around at 2 upkeep, but you're playing Morgan, you can probably afford it, and she's a 1 draw. You're playing Morgan, you really shouldn't be getting involved in shootout anyway, if you can help it. Although that being said, I have seen some very good shooter Morgan decks, and did get my backside handed to me quite royally by a Dead Man's Hand Morgan deck today. Anyway, moving on. Lula has a very odd ability. You pay a Ghost Rock to make some Ghost Rocks, so pay some to make some. Only works on deeds that your opponent owns, and only if you control them. Now, she doesn't need to be there. She can do this from anywhere, and you're paying to gain. So unless you're sat on a 3-gain deed, which, let's face it, your opponent's not going to let you get away with that for too long, she's not going to have much use. If you need a clutch extra rock in a hurry, she's going to have a great little utility there to get it to you. I don't think you build a deck around her ability. It's one of those cards that's basically very solid to play by itself and has a nice little ability you might use, possibly. She might as well not have one, but it doesn't make a difference. We have Emmanuel Ashbell, who's an Arnold McCandish kind of card. Saves people from dying. Problem is, he turns an aced guy into a discarded guy. And in a short game of 3 or 4 turns with maybe 1-2 deck cycles at the outset, he's not really going to do much. There's no difference between acing a guy and discarding a guy unless you're playing multiple copies of that particular dude. Maybe, possibly, with some bizarre Eve and Dawn force field thing where they each discard each other and you can do stuff so you can turn an aced Eve into a discarded Eve. There's combos there. I think they're going to be too clunky to work effectively. That being said, again, 3 influence, a nice solid high influence Morgan card. Landslide or Dude Slide Morgan, really can't see why you wouldn't run him. He only costs 4 to play. Yes, he's got 2 upkeep, but again, you're playing so many deeds in that deck anyway, you should have plenty of cash. And he's a very good, very solid way of upping your influence in a hurry. Going to be good in some decks, not good in others. Ability may or may not get used. We'll see what we do later on. Again, with a fast cycle on your deck, it's not going to make a difference if you ace or discard your guy. One of my favourite cards from the pack is next. On to 4th ring, old Jiggling Leon. Leonardo Cavallo, dancing clown of the masses. Everybody loves the dancing clown, I'm sure you'll agree. He is brilliant. He has 2 influence, which is always a good number. He's Huckster 1. It's always good to see more Hucksters, even in the 4th ring, where they have loads and kick your ass with all the hexes. Anyway, fantastic ability. He is a paralysis mark on a stick. Massively offensive, this card. There's a discussion on, I believe, the main Doomtown Facebook page that he forces you to play defensively. I don't agree. I think you can put a lot of pressure on somebody by booting a guy out, and it's a very offensive play. You boot Leon, you pull against your opponent's value, and boot them if you succeed. Yes, it boots Leon. Yes, technically that takes him out of the fight, but he's a huckster. Why has he not got a Shadow Walk? Why are you booting this man without Shadow Walk? Why, I ask? There you go. Problem solved. Richard Slavin coming next. Rich Slavin appeared in the latest fiction, I believe, on the AEG website, and it's a cracking piece of fiction, actually. It's very, very good. There's a lot of weird stuff going on now. The story's picking up, and we're seeing a lot more going on behind the scenes in Gomorrah, which is always good. 0 upkeep card, fantastic. 1 stud. Stud's always good. I prefer stud overdraw, as should most of you, if not all of you. And 1 influence. Can't argue with that. Nice noon effect. Boot him if he's out of town. If it's a red card pull, you can search your discard pile and boot hill for a mystical goods and add it to your hand. There is a deck in this. It doesn't exist yet, I don't think. I don't think the mystical goods we've got at the moment are going to be things you want to go pulling out of your bin in a hurry. He's kind of like Harold from Morgan, who gets you a gadget out of your discard pile. It's a nice ability. It's going to be useful. Not in every situation. It's not something you build a deck around. However, it's going to be good. I think Richard's problem at the moment is there's nothing you really want to get back out of your discard pile. We've got Doyle's Hoyle, Mystical Holster, and there's a couple of mystical goods cards in here, Holy Wheelgun and Stone Idol. Wheelgun, possibly, you might want to get that back if it disappeared, but you know, I don't think you'd use a guy who has to be out of town, has to pull red. It's one of those things that it's a clutch save card and will be good. Just not quite yet. Next up, we have Sloane, Angelica Espinosa, who I have, despite spending several weeks trying to figure out who she looks like, is Janine Garofalo. Look, see? Anyway, Angelica Espinosa. 3 cash, 1 upkeep, nice and cheap, easy to keep around, no reason why you wouldn't start her in Sloane. 2 stud is brilliant, the only downside being, I suppose, is 0 influence. Sloane doesn't seem to be about the influence, so we don't really care about that. And she's got a buffalo rifle. That's her effect. She's got it in a shootout. She's got a buffalo rifle. She joins in from any adjacent location without moving or booting. It's a character ability. It's only usable once. Who cares? She's going to be great. She's going to be able to get involved in things she shouldn't be able to. Get her in town square. Very aggressive Sloane stud deck. Owning the place. She can get involved in any shootout in town. What's not to like about that? She's going to see a lot of play. Jose Morales. This guy is fantastic. There really is so many things you can do with Jose. There are already people coming up with combo decks. Jose and shotguns with Corporeal Twist, which is in this pack, and you'll see later. He's got so much utility and so many different things he can do. There are going to be lots and lots of decks running this guy, some with a lot of success, some without, and eventually we'll settle down and figure out what it is you can and can't do with him to great effect. He's a huckster, only huckster 0, however he gets a huckster bonus equal to his bullets in a shootout. Any card that gives him bonus bullets, why wouldn't you put it on there? Shotgun's always good for a guy with 3 bullets, and that'd make him huckster 5. Wow. Really, what's not to like about that? Only in a shootout, but then again, a lot of the really good shootout effects on hexes they're fantastic, and some of them are really hard. I mean, imagine like you've got +4, +5. I mean, it comes with +3 anyway to a Soul Blast. It makes a Soul Blast a very good card. All of a sudden, Soul Blasting Stephen Wiles, who becomes a pain in the backside against hex decks, is a very accomplishable feat. I can see this being a brilliant card, and there's some awesome combo decks doing the rounds at the moment with Jose, a shotgun, I say, and Corporeal Twist, which basically lowers grit, lets you have a shotgun. You've got Soul Blast on there as well. Lots and lots of things you can do with Jose. Do look into the decks. You've got different Facebook groups, Doomtown DB, Gamora Gazette. Go and check out those guys and the deck lists on there. Some of them are brilliant, and you get some really good ideas as to what you can do with Jose. Drifters next. First drifter is a grifter, and it's Gina Tailfeathers. I like this grifter. I've got to be said. We knew different grifters were coming. They said obviously they have different abilities. You can only run one, so you've got to choose which one. And a lot of the skill in deck building is going to be deciding which one you want. And they both do different things. If you're running a deck where you want to desperately see a specific card, whether that be a specific gadget or a specific hex or a specific deed, regardless of what your deck is doing, if you want this particular card, you'll run Travis, because you see 5 cards. If it's not in those 5 cards, you'll just get rid of them regardless and draw 5 more. Gina has a more subtle effect at the start of the game. You only lose 1 card out your hand, so if you're running Jokers, if you're running a 54 card deck, occasionally you'll draw a Joker. There's nothing more annoying than seeing a Joker in your draw hand. She lets you get rid of it and get 2 new cards. 6 card hand, brilliant for the start of the game. You've got a card up on your opponent. Yes, it costs you 1 because it's got a hand. It's still a good thing. It's still a bonus to you. And the best thing about it is you don't have to get rid of the other good cards in your hands. So the Travis decision can occasionally be quite hard. You've drawn 5 cards, 2 very good cards, 2 rather mediocre cards, and 1 really rubbish card. You're not going to want to Travis that. You're going to want to keep it for those 2 good cards. But what if you could just get rid of that bad card? Gina's your girl. And again, you're going to have to play with both, decide which one you like, and you'll realise very quickly that different deck types will call for different grifters, and that's what she does. Second up, this is the other really cool personality. So 3 really strong guys. I like, say, the Clown, Jose, and this guy. This guy, Mario Crane. He's a stud. 1 stud, 1 influence for 6 cash, 1 upkeep. He's fairly easy to keep on the board. Set upable on 6. He's harrowed as well, which keeps him around, and his fantastic text box. If your hand is legal in a draw, he can't be chosen as a casualty unless you lose by 3 or more ranks. So if you build a deck designed around making sure you're in the middle rank-wise, say trying to hit rank 5, rank 6 all the time, Mario can stay around for ages. Get him in a shootout by himself, just the 1 stud, put a force field on him. Force Field's a fantastic addition to this guy. Force is raw. We've both got a discarded guy. Oh, I don't, you do. Instant gets rid of a guy. And again, it's one of those things, everybody saw Force Field Mario when it was first spoiled. It's already been built several times over. Everyone I've seen has got a different take on it. There's a guy who's running one today in Huddersfield. It's a very solid deck. It's just not quite there. It's a lot of setup, the Mario Force Field deck. Mario Force Field isn't enough. He needs other things. Ideally, he needs a gun to get some bullets, so you can engineer your hand to try and get as close to their hand as possible, so you don't have to drop lots of cash into Force Field. You want other bits and pieces as well. Telepathy Helmet's a good one for him, because he can't be targeted by shootout actions. So, it's a lot of setup, and it's a very, very good deck when it gets going. It's getting it there that's the problem. However, that being said, Mario is going to see a lot of play. He's harrowed. Just that alone makes him almost worth considering a lot of decks, just to soak more casualties, if it is that 3 or more. Let's say you lose by 4 ranks. Say you lose by 4 ranks, you can cover 3 of that by just getting rid of Mario straight away, and you only lose 1 other guy. It's not too bad at all. On to the goods cards. We've got a couple of gadgets. First one is the ballot counter. This is a really interesting card. I want to build a deck around it. It's very easy to invent. It's difficulty 3. If you've got a Mad Scientist 2, which you probably should have if you're running a gadget deck, you can't fail to invent it. To be fair, you could just not run any aces in your deck and you still couldn't fail to invent it. So it's very easy to get on the table. It's very cheap. It only costs 1 and has a very interesting ability. It's got variable influence, and you literally just pay a cash to give it a token. It gets influence equal to the tokens until the end of the upkeep phase, and that's quite crucial, the end of upkeep. So it's going to last through the end of turn to the following turn, which is going to keep you in the game. Sloan is getting faster and faster. I've seen Sloan decks drop out 5 or 6 control points in turn 1. If you can drop this turn 1, potentially you can keep yourself in the game very easily. We have a Holy Wheelgun. Is the second of the 2 gadgets. It's mystical. It's one of those things I was mentioning with Slaven you can go and find. Maybe, possibly the deck there. I don't think so. It's plus 2 bullets, always good. Only costs 2 cash and fairly easy to invent. It invents itself. It pulls for a 6. It's difficulty 5. Can't really argue with that. And again, it's a fairly solid card. It's minus 1 bullet in a shootout. You kind of want minus bullets on your opponent. The harder you can make it for him to build a hand, the easier it is for you to build a hand, the more likely you're going to win the shootout. Additional text: if the target of that minus bullet is the abomination, they have to die first. It's just an extra piece of text which might prove useful down the line. Again, we don't have enough abominations for this to be a kind of thing where you go, ooh, I'm going to see abominations today, I should probably bring a Holy Wheelgun. That's not happening yet. However, we are going to see more abominations, and as we do, Holy Wheelgun will become a more and more appealing choice over and above just the minus 1 bullet. Stone Idol is the next goods card. It's a unique card, only one of these on. It's literally very simple. Boot it as noon or shootout, give somebody minus 3 value. Wow. Only costs 2 cash to put out. Very nice card, and makes things suddenly fall into shotgun range. Lowers grit for Soul Blast. There are a lot of really good fun things you can do with this, and it's probably going to be top of my list of things I want to try next. I've been having fun with hexes recently. I'm a big fan of Soul Blast, and this bringing people down to a more manageable level for that is going to be a very good card. It's a 9. It's just outside what I like for my hexes. I like to run 10 Jack Queen. 9 isn't too bad. It can still pull a Blood Curse, so it's not too bad overall. I think this is a card that's going to see a lot of use eventually, as people realise there are more and more things you can do that involve grit. We'll just have to see where we go from there. It's also, if you haven't read the latest fiction on the AEG website, the Slaven fiction, this is in it. I suggest you go and read it, get in on the story for this. It's an AEG game, they're all story driven. You really should be reading the fictions. If you haven't, shame on you, go and do it now. In fact, pause this video, go and read the stories, then come back and finish it off. You've been told. Hexes next. Corporeal Twist. I want to like this card. I really, really want to like this card. It just doesn't quite do it for me. It pulls for a 5, so it's not a really. It doesn't lend itself to a hex deck on its pull value alone. It's got an interesting ability, messing with grit once again, much like a statue. It's minus 2 value, minus 1 bullets. We talked earlier with the wheelgun. Minus bullets in a shootout is good. Minus value is also good for Soul Blast and Shotgun. And anything that affects grit, we will no doubt see more grit cards coming, and this will be good to go alongside those. The problem I have with Corporeal Twist is that most hucksters are Huckster 1 or Huckster 2. You want to run this with Soul Blast, and if you pull a Soul Blast while trying this, it fails. They don't mesh together. I don't think making it Hex 3 would have been good. You want it to be failable, probably, with Soul Blast. It's not quite as powerful as it wants to be. There's definitely a conscious design decision here to make sure you can't run the 2 as a massively effective combo, and I can see why. It's a fair call. I kind of wish they hadn't made it, but I can see why they have. The really good thing about this card, though, is when you do it, and this is probably why it's meant not to mesh properly, is if you do ace or discard the guy you target with this card, you get a control point. It's a permanent control point. It's not dependent on having one like the Sloan home ability. You can get as many control points as you can ace and discard dudes you can affect with this card. So feasibly, if you could go on a Soul Blast spree with this, you can get lots of control points in your Huckster deck. So it's going to see legs. It's going to have decks built around it. I don't think they'll be top tier Hex decks, but I think they will be quite strong once people wrap their head around it. I think we need to move away from Shadow Walk, Blood Curse, Soul Blast. The Hex deck everyone's running it. We need to start playing with other stuff, and I'm hoping Corporeal Twist is going to convince people to try other things, and we'll see how good it will be as the results come in. Another Hex is Fetch, Cheating Resolution Hex. This is quite an interesting one, this one. Difficulty 5, so easy to pull. Again, it's fairly low value. Again, it's a 7, outside what you would normally find in a Hex deck, so I like this low value Hex thing. It's going to prove to be quite good. This one's a Cheating Resolution. It's brilliant. Unless you engineer your hand, it works in low ball. If your opponent's cheating, pull on a 5 on a Hex. If it succeeds, you can put a card from your draw hand into your play hand. So your low ball hand's got 5 cards, you can have one of them for the turn. It's basically, it's a mini shooter kind of card. It engineers what you've got to do for the turn. It's going to be really helpful. In a shootout, if they're cheating, -3 casualties. Wow. I'll just have 3 less dead guys. Brilliant. It's not as punishing as a cheating card. It's more of a saving card. It's still fantastic. I've seen it played. I've had it played against me. It's very annoying. You go in there, you think, oh yeah, I'm going to 5 of a kind. This is going to be amazing. I'm going to blow them out of the water, and then in comes a fetch, and it's all over. It's just it's a nasty card to play against. You really do have to think about not cheating against it. And the problem with the Full House 4 of a kind cheating decks, it's very hard for them to build legal hands that aren't 2-pair. Anyway, on to the events. It's not what you know. It's not what you know is a cheating resolution and resolution card. It costs 2. It's kind of expensive. It's not massively punishing. Lower the cheating player's hand by 4 ranks. It's very rare you will see a cheating hand that is not at least a full house. The only time I ever see a cheating 2-pair tends to be low ball, or if you've crippled somebody's bullets, and that's all they can make. And if you've crippled them to the point where they're only making 2-pair, you should be in a fairly strong position. You probably won't need this to lower their hand ranks. I've played it to good effect with hex slinging. You get up to a 6 to 8 card, 8 rank swing on shootout resolution hands. It's good. I just don't think it's going to be the cheating card we fall back on. It's also a queen, and it occupies the same space as some very other nice cards. The other half of this wonderful little combo of cards, it's not what you know, is it's who you know. This is brilliant. It's an amazing card. This has got Morgan written all over it. It's absolutely fantastic. And there's old Lillian there, schmoozing Wilbur. And I'm curious to see what the fiction's got going on there. If you've read the latest one, in the latest Saddlebag, you'll know there's some really cool stuff going on with the election. Clearly Lillian's getting involved in there. Anyway, on to the card. It's got no cost, you can just play it. One of your dudes calls out an opposing dude at their location. That's pretty much it. Your dude calls out their dude. No wanted, needed, no booted, no specific location, just you've both got to be in the same place. Okay. All dudes, once posses have been formed, use influence rather than bullets, and your dude becomes a stud. So, since Lillian's in the artwork, let's talk about that. 5 influenced Lillian becomes a 5 stud shooter in a shootout. Morgan Dex just got some pretty big teeth. This is awesome. There are so many things you can do with this, and not just in Morgan. I mean, there are other high influence guys. I mean, Lillian's just the obvious choice because she's 5. Max Bane on 4, he becomes really good. The fact you become a stud as well is absolutely nuts. Very, very, very cool. Anything that lets you increase your influence is also going to help out with this to make you more powerful. And the thing is, because it says you use your influence rather than your bullet rating for the shootout, all those shootout cards that lower your bullets or mess around with you don't work. They just don't work. Unprepared, have minus bullets. Okay, cool, I've got less bullets. I've still got 5 influence. I'm still a 5 stud. This is there's so many cool things about this card. This is going to be absolutely brilliant in Morgan decks. And as we get more and more 3, 4, and 5 influence guys, this is going to see a lot of play. Yes, it's a 3. just build your deck around that draw structure. Really, it's going to be really good. Have some fun with it and blow some people up. Horse wrangling. This is one of those cards that I'm thinking, yeah, horses just don't work. They don't do what you want them to do. They're probably overcosted, I'd imagine, by a tune of about 1 Ghost Rock. They just feel not as good as other things. I can buy a horse, or I can have a Huckster with Shadow Walk. It's kind of hard to get behind horses. I like what they're trying to do, have lots of horse synergy. It's a Western game. You want horses. You want to be riding around and doing stuff. The horses need something else. Morgan seemed to be the horse deck. You have the characters that trigger off horses. There are other horse cars like Ride 'em Down. There's going to be a horse deck, I would imagine, at some point. It doesn't exist now. When it does, this is going to be fine. Pay 1, search for a horse. It's going to give you a little bit of oomph if you want to try a horse deck. I mentioned in my last video I'm a big fan of moving cards. Anything that lets you move dudes around, I like, and this is going to help you find those cards to do it, so I'm a big fan of that. In a box time, maybe the Pine box comes out, we'll revisit this and see if there's a deck you can build. Last up, the 3 deeds, starting with Hustings. This card is brutal. It doesn't look like much, but it's bonkers. It only costs 4, it's a nice cheap deed. It's got 2 income, which is always good, it's a nice solid amount of income, and the effect is fantastic. Any dude controlled by somebody who doesn't control this deed gets -1 influence while unbooted at home. So here's the situation. You've won volleyball and you're playing against Lordogs or Morgan. One of 2 things over there is about to happen. One of your guys is about to become wanted and stuff's about to happen to him, probably Bounty Hunter, or Morgan are going to start dropping out dirt cheap deeds. Drop this as your first play, they've all lost 1 influence. It makes it very hard to use their home location because it checks influence at the time they want to use the character, and costs it all unbooted. All their 1 influence guys are 0. They won't get their influence back until they boot. Yes, they can boot into their effect and it won't do anything, but they're then booted at home. What do you care? It's a fantastic card. It's got lots of use, and it should be your first one play against anything you're worried about having lots of influence. This is your starting play. It's absolutely fantastic at what it does. Then we have Surveyor's Office. Surveyor's Office is, I like it. It's got some really cool stuff. It's adjacent to all out-of-town deeds, which is interesting in itself. You still boot to move from it natively by just using your character, because it's only adjacent to it. It helps with hexes or the Angelica Buffalo Rifle. Anything that lets you affect an adjacent card is really good. And then it's got its own boot effect, which moves a dude from here to an adjacent location, so you can get somebody out of town very easily. 4 cost, 2 income. Seems to be fairly good for the 2 income cards. 1 control point. Solid numbers for a deed, and then an effect that, again, movement, tweaking, deciding where you want to go, choosing your position on the board. A really, really good card. It doesn't go in every deck, I'm sure you'll agree. However, lots of use and utility there for different things and what you want to do. The last card in the pack is Baird, Build and Loan, and it's basically a cost reduction card. You can use it to play another deed, lowering its cost. It costs 3, gives you 1 income, and then you can boot it to put something in for 2 less. Great synergy there with the Morgan Home card. Use the Morgan Home card and Clementine Lep to bring in a cheap saloon, use Clementine and this, and you got all sorts of other bits and pieces going on. Lowering the cost of deeds everywhere. So it's going to be good in most landslide decks. That's the pack. I hope you've taken something away from it. I say there's lots of good cards in there. I really enjoy. I think possibly my favourite card in there is Leon, just for the legwork he's given me in my decks. He's only lost me a couple of games. That's generally come down to bad shootouts or really bad players on my behalf, and he's generally done me really proud, and he's stuck around in every game without being jobbed too quickly. Anyway, that's the pack. If you haven't got it, go and get it. I apologise for the lateness of the video. It was a combination of several things, like Christmas and New Year coming up, and I hadn't really got round to deciding what I wanted to do for my second video. Then I got subscribers, and I don't know what you guys think are you expecting out of this, but thank you anyway. I have apparently 4 fans. I don't know who you are, but there are 4 of you. That's awesome. I'm going to put these cards away. I'll come back in a second. I'll go through the UK events over the next few weeks and anything else that comes to mind. So stick around, and I'll try not to be too long. Hi guys, thanks for holding on there. I appreciate it's been a couple of seconds, but for me it's been about 10 minutes as I desperately try and figure out how to edit this together and where to put this other bit of video. It's all good, it's figured out, and you are watching it. This is all good. We have a bunch of UK events coming up. This is amazing. The UK has really taken hold of Doomtown, and there's not a weekend gone by this year, I think, that hasn't had at least one event, occasionally two, sometimes even three. I believe that the 25th, which was last week, had an event in Edinburgh, Aldershot and Manchester all on the same day. So it's absolute brilliant community of players getting together and getting as much play time as possible for the event. So coming up in February, we have this Saturday, the 7th of February, is an event I'm running. It's in Stoke-On-Trent. It's the Weathspoons in Hanley, which is one of the Stoke towns. Very easy to get to. If you do want to come down, you don't know where you're going, drop me a comment, find me on Facebook, let me know, and I'll give you all the details. So it's at Weathspoons pub, so we have nice cheap drinks, both alcoholic and non. It's kid friendly, so younger gamers are more than welcome to come down and say it's in the centre of town. It's very easy to find. We had 10 players for the last one. It was a really good day, solid day of gaming. Players came from all over the Midlands to come and join in. If you want to come further afield, that would be awesome as well. After that, on Sunday, same weekend, so the 8th of February, is an event in Wales. I believe is in Cardiff. The name of the store escapes me, but I will try and find out for you. And I'll get more specific details for each event, and I'll put them in the comments boxes below the video once I figure out how to do that bit of YouTubing, which shouldn't take me too long. 14th of February is Valentine's Day. It was sadly the only free Saturday we had when this kit became available, and it's the very first UK deputy event. Now, this is the badge series event, and you get the sheriff's badge as part of the prize kit, and it's also got new alternate art. I believe Stephen Wiles is one of the alternate art cards. It's worth turning up just for those. It's a really nice card. We'll try and get hold of one for the event and try and do a video before then and show it to you. If I can get hold of the whole kit and show it off, I'll try and do that as well. And a very good Sloan deck tin, much like the 4th ring one we've got from the first kit. This one's a Sloan. So it's the very first deputy event, and each store gets one of these every 6 months, and the winner gets a badge, and they become effectively the store champion for a 6-month period. So it'd be definitely worthwhile coming down to that one. So Fanboy 3 in Manchester, run by the fantastic Dave Salisbury, who's done us a real solid as a community by getting us that kit for February. 21st of February is in Worcester. It's Andy Rowe's event, and he runs that one in Manaleak. You can get all the details from that from their store website or the Doomtown UK Facebook page. 22nd of February is in Reading, which is Eclectic Games down on the south coast. So it's not all about the Midlands, they are all over the place as well. And that's the 22nd. If you can't make it to one of the main events up here, go and find a main event down there. Reading's a fantastic venue. Used to be, Eclectic Games was in a converted pub, as I remember rightly. I don't know if it's still there. It's been a good few years since I was down there last. And then on the 28th of February, there is an event in Huddersfield. And the cool thing about Huddersfield is they encourage dressing up. So yes, I will be wearing the hat. Prize for best dressed. I may even make slightly more of an effort this time. And that's it for the February events. I will attempt to do more videos as time goes on. I will try and get my hands on the deputy kits to at least show you what's in there. I will try and do maybe some deck clinics, some ideas and combos and things I've been running with. If you have any ideas of what you'd like to hear me waffle nonsense about for half an hour, let me know. Leave a comment, Facebook, whatever you want to do, try and get hold of me. Let me know what you'd like to see me do within reason and work safe, and we'll work on that for you and get it done. So thanks for watching the video again, guys. I hope it's been enjoyable. We tried something else, a review rather than an unboxing, so I played some games this time with the cards, had more of a feel for what they did. I think it's worked out slightly better. We'll see where we go from there and see what we can do for the next couple. If you did like it, please join the 4 random people who subscribed. I have no idea who you are, by the way, but thank you very much for showing the faith in the only video I produced to this point until this one. I'm getting a real bug for this YouTubing thing, and I can certainly see myself making a lot more for you. Until next time, thank you very much, and let me know how you get on with your games. Put some results out there, and hopefully we'll see you at some of the events. Cheers.